By the time of World War II, all armies were looking for ways to increase the mobility of their anti-aircraft guns. The German army had a simple solution: installing a 2 cm anti-aircraft gun on a highly mobile half-track chassis. The Sonderkraftfahrzeug or Special Purpose Vehicle 10 was a German half-track that saw widespread use as a prime mover for small towed guns. The Sonderkraftfahrzeug 10/4 carried a 2 cm Flak 30 mount on a special platform with fold-down side and rear panels. The very similar 10/5 carried the 2 cm Flak 38, whose mount was wider and lighter than of the Flak 30, and the platform was enlarged to accommodate it from the middle of 1942. This would allow rapid deployment of anti-aircraft gun and resolve the issue of covering vehicle columns from air attack. An experimental prototype was built in 1938, and the ground trials were so successful that the mass production began the same year. The first order for 370 units, 195 for the ground forces and 175 for the Luftwaffe, was finished by the summer of 1939. Production remained at a rate of 25 vehicles per month until March of 1942. Initially, the gun could be removed or installed by the crew. A well-trained crew could do this in 20 seconds. However, this feature was later removed as practice showed that it was not necessary to remove the gun very often. The gun itself was fed from 20-round magazines. 260 rounds of ammunition was carried on board, located in containers along the sides of the platform. The vehicle could also tow a Sonderanhänger 51 trailer that held 640 more rounds of ammunition. Since regular vehicles often could not keep up with the mechanized units, some 10/4s were converted into ammunition carriers. The precise number is not known, however, in theory, every platoon had one unarmed ammo carrier. The conversion was done by removing or simply not installing the 2 cm gun. However, the platform and the mount were still there, making it possible to add the gun later. The vehicle itself did not have any kind of armor protection. When used for ground support fire, this proved highly dangerous. The crew and the vehicle's engine were completely exposed to enemy fire. Bullets hitting the radiator or the driver would often leave the vehicle immobilized. To somewhat resolve this issue, an 8 mm thick armored shield was added for the vehicle radiator and the driver's compartment. However, the rear and top were still completely open. Adding armor for the rear was simply impossible due to the fact that the chassis was already overburdened with all the extra weight. The main type of unit to use the half-track was the Leichte Fliegerabwehrkompanie Selbstfahrerfette, or the Light Self-Propelled Anti-Gun Company, with 3 platoons. One platoon had 4 vehicles and 1 ammo carrier. Generally, one platoon was attached to a Panzer battalion. During the attack of the Panzer battalion, the first gun with the platoon commander protected the front and right of the battalion, the second gun the front and left, the third gun the rear and right, and the fourth gun the rear and left side of the attacking tank formation. On the commander's orders, the troops halted and opened fire. Aircraft were engaged only if they spotted or attacked the battalion, or if they offered especially good targets. However, this company structure was not rigid. Platoons could be combined in various ways. Theoretically, the companies could be combined into an anti-aircraft battalion with 6 companies, but this was only an administrative unit. Tactically, each company was subordinated to a division, usually a Panzer division, or to a corps, and some companies were in reserve of armies and army groups. It quickly turned out during the war that the fast and agile self-propelled anti-aircraft guns, or SPAAGs, have another use: direct infantry support. The presence of special, armor-piercing ammunition also made them useful against lightly armored targets. The 10/4 and later the 10/5 were first used en masse on the Eastern Front. Here, the threat from the air was much more significant than in the previous Western campaigns. This led to organizational changes. A permanent anti-aircraft company was attached to the armor divisions from 1942. Divisions of other types had to deal with temporary attachments. In the second part of the war, both Allied and Soviet fighter planes had generally improved, and the single 2 cm flak gun became obsolete and ineffective against them. The Flak Panzer IV, the self-propelled anti-aircraft guns based on the Panzer IV chassis, began to arrive in early 1944, but in reality they never entirely replaced the Sonderkraftfahrzeug 10/4. Despite significant losses, these early self-propelled anti-aircraft guns were encountered on the front lines until the last days of the war. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and to make sure you don't miss my future work, please make sure you are subscribed to my channel and press the bell notification button. Thank you, and see you in the next video.